So I got Game Pass on my screen. Very good. And we are live from the beautiful universe of Euclid, No Man's Sky. This is Valderon sitting on our save we have started here from scratch and are running through the story mission with Artemis, and we have come to the next one is Apollo. We are investigating. Apollo told us to find some guy and get some stuff for our base. I am not 100% sure yet that I actually want to expand on the base here where we pretty much started. I would like to find a proper planet. This is one which have some bad weather sometimes, so I'm really... Oh, it says I have drops enabled. I don't, because I'm not playing World of Tanks. Maybe I should check the... It should not do it when I'm not in the category, so that I do not know why it is saying that. I got a message saying I've dropped enabled. Why does it say that? I cannot see that. Oh, there. I don't have that on my screen whatsoever, so I actually don't know if I somehow can take that off. Well, I think it will disappear as it realizes the wrong category, because there's unfortunately no drops for No Man's Sky. I wish there were, and if that was the case, that would be really nice, but it's unfortunately not. So I would say that I was looking for a better planet than the one in the start area where we started, and preferably it would be to find a Earth-like planet which has perfect weather and pretty much perfect environment as well. So we haven't been lucky finding them, so maybe today we should actually explore that a little bit and move towards where we can go into finding that. We also have to grind a little bit of resources and hopefully find some we can use to repair the ship we still have. I will call it so we can have a look at it. For some reason it disappears when we log out, but that's luckily not difficult to get it, hopefully. And then have a little look what we actually get to collect in order the different resources we're going to need. So I know we need platinum, we need pyrite and phosphorus and some dioxide. Pugnium I will have to buy somewhere. Luckily that's one thing you can find at trade stations around as well. So I have some ideas what we are going to need. What I will do is I will use the storage container to make sure that I'm not dragging something around I don't need. It looks good for now. Well, maybe I should just check. I can't. What I had on the starship, that's the wrong starship. So when you choose a starship, that's the one coming up. So I will unfortunately have to go into it. Let's have a look. There is nothing really. There's a couple of things which can be sold. So let's. I would actually like to have them one place. So these can be sold, and here I have a collection of portable refiners. That is absolutely silly. You don't need more than one. Okay. So using the teleporter to go to the space station, I don't know which one that was, that's not mine, where we were, and continue from there. That's always a good way to get away. As I normally end the stream at my base here, that will then, when I build a proper base, be the base of operations. So until then we are using that same thing. So we hadn't explored everything in this system. I'm just going to check that I actually got an upgrade to my exosuit here, but I think I did. I seem to normally be very adamant to do that immediately when I come to a system. Go to the space station, because it's one thing you can easily forget. It would be sitting here with a white exosuit thingy, so you could add slots to your exosuit, but I have done it. The other thing is, whenever you come to a new system, always call the anomaly as well, so you get the one from that. Each time you come to a new system, that is actually an option as well. So I need to find the lost planets here I haven't scanned. I might go to them unless they have phosphorus. Didn't I need that? I like the names of some of the planets. Elzebubi Futz. It's obviously somehow random generated, but it comes out funny with some of them. I just need to make sure everything is filled up as much as I can for now. I am kind of lagging. Emergency broadcast. Well, let's take the... see where we go in. Where do you want me to go? I'm going to continue with what I was doing, because starting being tracked out to side missions it's okay, but it suddenly means we have a lot of things on our plate, so let's just stick with the line which we have for now. We can always deviate from that. That's very easy to do in this game. So, anything coming up with a scan? Like a weird planet. Let's land and do some scans. Worst case, we'll only get a few nanites out of it, but hopefully we'll get more of it. So, infrequent heat storms. Cobalt, not what we need. Copper, not what we need. We've been here before.
Thermal protection falling.
Looks like we've been here before. I might just remember wrong. This was not a good place, so we need to find another place where we actually have something useful. I do scan again in between, because if there is buildings, then they sometimes provide something which is useful. There's absolutely no guarantee for anything in this game. There's a building. What is that? Anything interesting? Oh. Do we have any? We have uranium still. Not long. Not a lot. So, what is this place? So that's not bad. Can make them myself later.
Thermal protection falling.
It's an antenna. What does that do? That went down 654, so that was quite easy. So there's a distress signal for something. That might be a landed ship or a freighter or something, so it's absolutely worth examining what it is. Doors can be opened. But it's the same with windows. Not all windows can be opened. I scavenge around to see what there is. Everything is useful at this point where we're relatively early in the game. Later on, it's not certain I would bother overly with. Wow, knowing myself is I would probably. That's how I am anyway. So, and where was that signal leading us? That way. Can I get through that? 7 hours. It's going to be a long stream today. We are going for a very long. The only question is if I'm high enough up. So that means we can use the faster method to go to it. And we're going in. So it's always exciting to see what type of distress it is. I have sometimes found quite good ships this way. Let's look. Interesting. Looks very interesting. That means we'll get another ship to repair. Maybe I should put that on my calling card. Ship repairman. So, I'm a little bit curious what this is actually. Let's see, compare. It's a B class, not bad. It's abandoned. Doesn't say, oh, it's an explorer. We don't have one of them, so we'll claim that. Now we have 2 ships to repair. The thing is, it has a value. So even if I didn't want it, I could just scrap it or use it to swap with another, but the repair is actually quite useful. That is phosphorus. There's another building. Okay. So there's actually not a bad place to get to. And there's more animals. Eventually, when you get your scanner upgraded, then you will get more payout from the different things you scan as well. So we're back to what I talked about earlier. That's in the second building. Okay. When you get your gear really upgraded to a sorry about this, upgraded to a proper level, you actually get more and more out of things. So this I can make if I have, and this I can harvest, then I can get it flying. I'm not sure I actually want to do that. Flying it, that is. What was it? Let me see. That. Don't I have that? New. Oh dear. Oh, yeah, I do. So that one can be fixed immediately. That one takes pure ferrite. I don't have that on me. I think it would surprise me if I did. I have a little bit of ferrite dust, but that's really it. So let's see if we can find some pure on the area we are on. Ferrite dust, something which is not scanned. Is there a cave here? There's a lot of ferrite dust here, so let's just take that. Oh man. And then we can create some with the refiner. I'm just shooting everything right here. So I had that in that ship. No, I'm not making another one. good at fiddling around with the wrong ship when I have multiple to choose from. So, that. And right. Dust. Just chuck some carbon in, begin. Already talked about you spend a lot of time actually refining stuff, and it's part of the structure of the game as well. If you're not a patient type, then it can be a little bit of a problem. But don't despair. I mean, you find out that that is something you actually want to do. So I'm not going to repair any more here. I'm going to call it from the base and then do with this as I did with the other one. Work on it in the end every day of the stream, and then hopefully get it built up. This is my ship now. I claimed it, so no one else can actually take it. Even if they wanted to. There is examples where people have actually kind of snuck in and stolen, well, I'm saying stolen, but it's not the right word, but tricked themselves to better ships because someone was streaming or telling the coordinates of a good place where you could actually trade ships, and yeah, I mean, if you want to make yourself to one of those kinds of people, then, oops, I need to make sure I have the right ship. I'm going to check that building out that way, and I'm going to walk there because I know there's one the other way as well. I am not keeping an eye on my environment. That is really a bad thing. I should be looking for hazardous plants and stuff, that I don't get any bad surprises. So on some planets you actually want to run around with your weapon in your hand. Oh, close to. Not your manipulator or your mining beam. Mining beam is actually one you can defend yourself with. Oh, I need to scan these if I haven't done so. So I have been on this planet, I'm quite sure of that, but this is actually an ancient monument. So that's kind of useful. It's going to give me some insight in whatever culture was on this, in this system. It's Korvax. Normally there would be language thingies around. Anyone I can't scan that. If there's one, there might be more. Those in hanging caves, they always hold cobalt, but it's the question what else is. I'm going to take this. This is pretty much adding to the lore as well. So I can seek help with language, would give me at least a word, or I can seek knowledge of the past. If I do that, it will tell me where something is buried from ancient times. Bit away, and now we have a storm coming, so we'll actually go into the cave for protection to fill up my life support, so I'm sure it's actually fine. I need to build these rather sooner than later. I thought there was something near the entrance that I didn't know what was. The thing is, every time I see that there is question marks coming up, I always make sure I scan it so I get at least an accurate picture of what I'm getting or can get from the things. So seems to be warm here. Very warm, it's boiling hot. So there is danger ahead. Oh, what was that? Oh, you idiot. As I said, if you don't pay attention to these, they might actually eventually kill you. Ugh. So I will just charge it off just in case, but it might not be necessary. But I've been warning you about this, and I am then doing the stupid myself. Well, that's brilliant, isn't it? The thing is, I was going to say that some animals live in caves, and if you're really trying to find them all, you might sometimes have to go outside your comfort zone to actually get them. And explore some very deep caves. So I go back to the ship. To my ships. What I do is scan, because I think there was something close by which I could mark. Was that the other way? Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of animals on this planet. One thing you can actually do is you can get the animals as pets. They follow you around, you can ride on them, you can feed them, you can do different things. Again, I'm actually leaving that till we get further into the game. Is it something you need? If you want to. That's the whole thing with these things. You don't have to do anything unless you want to. The benefits of the animals is you can actually get products for food stuff out of them. Is that beneficial? Well, it might be. That way. So what I'm going to do is going to see if I can find it with flying that way. I think that was also a building. Otherwise, we have the ancient thing as well. So let's just take this first, one thing at a time. Oh, there's even some cargo pods, I think they're called. And if you notice, it's a variety of different things which actually comes out of them. Some more useful than others. So phosphorus is not an expensive resource, but it sometimes can be bloody hard to find. I would say it should actually be more expensive than it is because of the rarity to find it. Or maybe I'm just unlucky with that. I'm not sure. Why is my scanner broken? That's bloody rude. I will say sometimes you can actually get damaged equipment when things goes a little bit haywire, and I was very low on health earlier because of those bloody plants which caught me by surprise. I thought there was another building there. And there's a phosphorus over there. So if I go there and then go to the building, that probably is the best plan for now. So down the mountain and up the mountain. That's some planets are absolutely horrible with these 3D maps. A lot of people know I've been swearing over World of Warcraft when some of the later expansions were very, very 3D minded, and situations where you couldn't fly, that was a lot of annoyance. Well, did I not mark it? Am I freaking stupid? There was a reason I didn't mark it, but so the question is always what can and what can't you do. Marking things sometimes take away other markings. So if you have too many, it will not show everything. And I actually haven't found out when it does what. I just know it's very annoying when you lose something you have marked, because you obviously mark it because you want that thing. So I have to be careful with my health. There we go. Oh, I think that was a near miss shot. This environment is a little bit harsh towards me, but I think we manage. So where was the house we saw? It's down there. Is that a free slot? I do think it is. Yikes. Don't kill yourself over that. It's actually stupid committing suicide to get something. I do pick some of the berries up, but it's not something which is very important right now. Again, like several other things, it comes later in the game. So let's go and see if this is what I think it is. I really feel like a Dora the Explorer right now. So we need some things to get this. So we need that, and we need that. That's not what we need. We need, is it a carbon tube? I think it is. Yay! A free slot. Ventilator housing, sodium nitrate, and carbon nanotubes. So, what's most important right now? Well, there is two options, really. There's technology slots, or there's cargo slots. Cargo slots can always be compensated with your ship as well. So if you keep your ship near, you can do with a little bit less cargo slots, whereas technology is where you actually put the things which matters to keep you alive. So I will from the beginning relatively take more of those, so I'm sure that I'm actually able to upgrade my gear when I need to. So what else did we have around here? There's a red spot for an animal I can't see. Something underground. Buried technology. That we can take. So, if you noticed, I couldn't use the manipulator on the ground and nothing happened. It's because there's actually minerals on top. So if I should do it correctly, I should have used my mining laser first and then the terrain manipulator, but yeah. Language, well, knowledge stone, where are you? There it is. And it's like talking to the aliens around star bases and stuff. It's actually important to learn a big deal of the languages. Also, it gives you achievement. Who don't want an achievement? Sure. I'm actually walking back to the plane. I think that would be fine. It's not always good to know because suddenly you run into something which you did not expect. I hate plants that attack me. That is no surprise anymore. See, we can get there. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So far, so good. We are actually doing well. So, I just need to check a few things here. Warp cell, move it to the ship. Pure ferrite, move to the ship. Antimatter, move to the ship. Food stop, yes. Artifacts. See how little phosphorus we actually got. 232. I'll chuck it in the starship for now. These actually goes in with something else, so let's leave it like that. Okay, not too bad. So let's go and look at that ancient place or artifact, ancient ruin, let's call it. It's not too far away when we are on the ship, so we're going to find something there, I assume, that we can sell for at least some coins. But it's actually good to get into the mindset that you go for these ancient ruins, because some of them eventually will lead you to portals, stargates, whatever you want to call them. And there is a little bit of a trick, because you actually have to give them something. So as long as you follow these things through, at this point it's just as a repository as well. It's just, that is the large one. I don't have any keys, so just going to unwrap it so we know where it is. So it's actually not there, it's inside a building. There it is. So these ancient sites is actually something which had decayed over time. Let's find some keys. Yeah, 74, 69, 1503. It's the largest one, so let's take that one first. It's done. I actually am not too happy when they are hidden in buildings, because it always takes a lot of excavation to get to them. But beggars can't be choosers. Not always, at least. But it's always nicer when it comes out straight away instead of you have to undig a whole building. See, that one is down under somewhere, that one might be on the other side, so. That doesn't mean there isn't a building. I did tell you about the guy on Reddit which actually excavated the whole area and got quite an impressive structure up about how it had been. So now I just need to find the big one again. So now I need to check my holes, because I know I made a hole. Is that my hole? So it's a large one, so that should be. It's not. I'm very good at getting myself confused with what I'm actually doing. I think I have practiced that for many years and tried to get to that point. Okay. So let's just for fun see what that is worth. 1.3 million. That's not bad. That is not bad. So now I'm going to try something funny. Of course, there was a repository just there. That's one where you can actually trade artifacts, I believe. So let's see if that's possible. I might end up in a scam and not get the same value out of it. But it said that you should get same or better value out of it, so let's see what come out of it. It's an interesting ship. It's a B fighter, 12 million, so we don't have money for that. So I go to this one, Artifact Exchange Vault. So the one I have do not fit into any of the... Okay, then I'll just have to sell it normally. They don't have anything which is interesting. I already looked at this. So I go to the map maker anyway because you end up paying very few nanites to get a map to something. And as I said, these ancient places are always useful. One way or another. Why would I call my starship? It's just parked over there. So I got not a map. No, it's there. Okay. Good. So these are from different of the guilds, merchants, explorers and so on. You need to have a certain standing with them in order to get anything from them. So until we get that, they will all politely tell us to bugger off. See, here I actually look for this because I need that for repairs. As I'm good with money at the moment, I'm actually going to... Well, maybe I should just buy the whole thing. So that one, it actually paid better than it said, so nice. We made some money. I normally would go to the repository just to run through it and see what law comes out. It's not overly important. However, I actually do like to get the law as well. So, and I do think talking to the aliens is a good thing because you might get something out of it, and sometimes it is something really important. Technology is what Corvox is all about, so it gave me a better standing with them, which at this point is actually I don't know how far I am, so but it's always a good thing to get it up, then at least you won't have any limitations what you can do with them. Okay, he wants to work as a scientist at my base. That is not something I need right now. We first need to find a place where we can have a base. So let's see if I can hack into the repository. blah blah blah. Only Kovacs. Then unknown knowledge travelers. I think knowledge is the proper word. Yep. So let's see what they say. Let's see what it is. That is kind of mysterious. Okay. So that was a hole in the information it wouldn't give me. And you can speculate why it wouldn't give it to me, but maybe it has been deleted. So, no technology. Aggression and trade is Viking and geek. So, I think I'll take a friendship issue. They say that all along, but I don't know what really that means. However, the more words you get, the more you can understand what they're actually trying to say to you. So, scanners, unknown Kovacs. I found out saying Kovacs to a Kovacs offend them, so don't do that. Unknown is not really. Scanners is technology, so I'll choose that. I didn't get anything out of that. That's fine. So I'll return to the ship and see where that map brings me. So I learned 30 words. I'm almost ready to write Shakespeare's sonnets then. No, not even close. So what do we have here? I forgot to sell these because they're on the ship. You know what? I will go and sell them. That one. Don't know if that would go into the machine. That's actually worth taking a look. Even though I have to run back, I do find sometimes that having space is important, because suddenly you end up in a situation where you have loads of resources with you, and no, they don't want to do that either. Then you end up in a situation where you have to choose, and I don't like that. I like to be able to really get everything I want, and I have more of this. I take it all. Is it needed? I don't know. But I feel at the moment I'm okay with coins. And it's freaking hot here again. This is a perfect planet for those who doesn't like the cold winters. It's actually boiling hot. Without protection, how long would you survive in 101 degrees Celsius? That could be the quiz of today. I think I have read somewhere that a human being boiled dies within half a minute, so it goes very fast, to my knowledge. So, and I'm stupid, but that wouldn't be the first time. I forgot to, not that one, that one. That takes me there. How far away? 4 hours. That's okay. That's another ancient ruins site. So the last one gave us 1.4 million. Will we get that again? I am not high enough up. What will this give? Probably not that much. Amazing shapes there is on this planet. So, one thing I want to comment on, you will learn eventually that different buildings has different features. Repositories like trading stations have a galactic thing to sell thing. There it is, the big one. Not digging it out this time. So you can always make sure you can sell your stuff when you are at those. I will soon, I hope, install a economical scanner on my ship. Can't do that without being with the ship. So, because that can also be used to find trading stations with trading stations are not only important to find, but if you want to upgrade your ship and find really nice ships, then they are actually the key to find better ships. Not all trading stations will have good ships, but you can see how well, I haven't really been on trading stations, but trading stations and space stations is where you meet pilots which are interested in actually selling their ships. Oh, was an animal we didn't have. How many has left? That was number 10. Oh, it's 3 nanoids. That is brilliant. Where did the big one go? Wasn't this side somewhere? Wasn't it? There's a building. We can explore that afterwards. There it was. So we have gotten some of the materials we need to repair the first ship. Now we have a second ship as well. What did we get out of this? I didn't tell. Nothing. What? Thank you. Huh, 195,000. So, yeah, it was still worth the work, but it was not in the same degree as the other one. Just going to take a quick peek around. That building is what we're going to investigate. Take a batch of copper now we're here. We could actually. Was it that one? Yeah. So copper is always useful. It can be used for chromatic. So where is it? Is it one of those which shows up and is not there? I can actually not see any. And we're standing pretty much on it. It says it's there. By those two rocks. There is nothing. Okay. So let's go in. You could ask why I don't take those gravitino balls at these sites, but I really don't want to start fighting sentinels until I'm geared up so I can deal with them. This is not really the place or time to start doing that, because my experience has already taught me that where on earth is the building? Has taught me that fighting them too early will cause a lot of grief and death. So there. That's another one of those. Fair enough. Actually really chasing old artifacts right now. So, more Kovacs law. This is again interesting, but Now I'm actually following the thing, give me knowledge of the past, because what I'm looking for is actually finding portals as quick as I can. I don't know, fuel.
Technology recharge.
Well, with the petrol prices nowadays, you have to be careful with the fuel. So, what I have encountered sometimes, it sends me back where I was, which I had dug out, but that obviously was some sort of a glitch, but I don't know if it still does that. Then it will become an endless loop and you're stuck until you decide to go somewhere else at least. There's no holes here, so it's not where I was. Is that? No, it's not. So, the big one is there, just in front of my ship. Useful. The system is, so far, has always been 3 keys for the big one. There's more than 3 around, and you could collect them. Whether it would be beneficial, I don't know. I have done it on one of my other characters, but that is something I only do when I have plenty of space, so I don't fill up with things I don't need right now. Slots in your exosuit, your ships, your freighter is precious. At least that's my experience. Good thing is you don't have to agree, because you can actually play the game exactly like you feel like. There's no rights or wrongs. So I found a building that was very hidden.
Technology prepared. Technology prepared.
Okay. Don't think that's where the low either. Wrong. 1.9 million. That's actually not been a bad trip around on this planet. However, it was not really any of the things I wanted to do overly. I'm a little bit curious on that one. Buried cash. I don't think it's anything overly beneficial, but let's have a look. chasing the animals. So should be around here. Unknown building, that's not what we're looking for right now. Oh. Four, 3, 2. So now it says 19U. So the problem is I have no clue how deep it is. And it's supposed to be here somewhere. Now all the animals are hitting down in the hole. Fuck that. Oh, I didn't know. With all the animals, I don't want that. Ooh. I've been naughty with myself, haven't I? So, where was that building we could see? Yeah. No. Oh, monolith.
Thermal protection falling.
Wasn't a building there. So let's go and see what that is.
Temperature
And I
levels
think I have had enough of this planet for now. Building. So research guy. What is he doing? Blah, 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 blah. He wants something. What does he need? Carbon? Nanite. I actually get quite a lot of nanite out of this run. And sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to do that. What is this weapon? It's a B class. It's way better than what I have. I have higher damage potential, but that is because of these things I have. What I think I'm going to do, because it has double the amount of slots, I'm actually going to trade that in. However, what I need to do first is to take the technology I already have off, because there's no need to buy that again. That one was born with it, so I think that one is on the other one as well. But so upgrading something is in general a good thing. If you can, that one is one you have to build. So now I have a little bit of a problem, but the starship is close enough. There goes. I might pull something off which already is on the other one. That one it is born with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare, and then I'm going to exchange it. It's going to use all our money, but it is beneficial, and it actually does. We can defend ourselves better. So let's see, what do we have here? Place javelin.
Weather warning. Incoming storm.
Put that there. Scanner. It's actually good to have in a supercharged. Combat scope. Analysis advisor. So mining beams, I'll place them around this because as it's supercharged, that means it gives better stat, and this is an S, so the resources mined is plus 88%, which gives us quite a bit. So let's see what we can broadcaster. Weapons accelerator. So this is already installed. That means we can't do it again. That can be sold for nanites. 16, that's not much. Scanner, we have that. Go up there so I know it's one we can see. That one we have. That was not what I intended to do. So let's move that over there. This one. They all live together. So that goes there for now. It's actually empty, so let's fill that up. So we have higher damage potential now. Need to build up on the different things, but it's actually not bad as it looks like. We need more for that, but we have loads of nanites, so that is going to work out. So we have some stuff to sell, but I'm just checking the buy part as well.
Storm clearing.
That one sell, that one sell.
Units received.
Did we have anything on the ship we needed to sell? Bloody blah. No, not for now. Good. Oh, we can get some nanites here. Was actually not bad. And there's a guy here selling stuff. I have a feeling we might not get anything we need. This makes it scan longer. Actually might be useful. Just for now, because I don't have that at hand, but it will give us a further scan. So magnetized. We have that at our base in the end, or can make it there. So that's all well and fine. Back to the ship. Well, look at the buildings over here first. I took the wrong end, so be the first time with it. Restore shield. I very often get them when I'm already full. Put the data. Nothing else we can look at. You very quickly learn which race has what, and what you can expect to find. Got a core sword. First aid, it's not really needed. Nanite, that's always needed. So, just claim this place. Of souvenirs here, so good. I do think we are pretty much done on this planet. It became a little bit more than I actually expected it to, but that's how it sometimes is. All looks fine. It all looks fine. I think I want to put that there. Got the animals, so let's take the nanites for that. Just go out. I have a feeling I actually had been on this planet before. 4 planets and 2 moons. We still need a moon and a planet. So there's a crashed freighter, not fighter. We already looked at things from them. Is it worth going through? Wow. Silver. What is that? I can't look at the skin or anything on it. I already knew it, so what's that one? So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to see, but I think Nemo and that one, or is that the moon? I haven't noticed it clearly. It's on there, so doesn't always make sense. I would guess that was where we just were. And suddenly we're sitting in a minefield. Actually, let's go to another system. Why does it want me there? Let's take a look at it. Worst case, there's only, well, I only wasted some fuel. Foaming planet. What was it? Gold. Something there. Rotting planet. Why do I have a feeling that would be smelly? Well, let's go and get our exosuit slot.
Hostile scan detected.
Sentinel ships, that's not something I really like to fight with, because my ship is not actually that well equipped, so let's take a tour of the space station. It's very often the same route I go around. The longer into the game I come, the more I actually do. I am still putting equipment slots first of all. I need to upgrade my exosuit to be competitive with all environments I encounter and all hazards I encounter, so that's the first thing. I have some to sell. I know I paid more for them, so there is some good ones here.
Product received. Product received. Product received. Product received. Product received.
So I'm actually spending a lot of nanites here. However, that is not a bad thing. This one goes there. It works. It should work with that one as well. No. For some reason that So so you see they get colors from each other, becomes the same color, and that means they add bonus to each other. I have no clue what the bonus is, but the better, the more you have which is together with each other, is actually adding more to it. So these are all environmental or health related, so that is equally important. Always remember to pick these up. Sometimes you don't get anything, but well. So I know we just replaced the one we had. I'm just curious. So not B. Of course it is. So I'm starting looking. Geology, cannon, mining beam. That one can be useful. So they give bonus to each other. It gives a little bit more damage, not much. However, that is not a bad thing either. So we need the abnormally or the nexus and get a upgrade there as well, and then we can spend some nanites for getting things as well. I just got a lot of things with blueprints for my. It was actually the guy that told me to talk to. Apollo told me to talk to, and he gives some blueprints so you can actually build your base out. However, that is not going to be right now. Got a thermal protection, so you can have more of the same, and they all add bonuses, and you last longer in those environments. Okay, that guy is trying to get to our base. Is there anything we need to sell? Got a lot of service data, so it would be beneficial to go to the abnormally now when we're done here. Nothing to sell right now. We'll just quickly go to the other side as well. Talk to some of the people here, learning words. They're scanning me. Let's take that. I feel there's a little bit of lag today, but that's, I don't know if there's some lumps in the internet connection. I think I will say experiments. That sounds like technology. Give me better standing. Talk to a null. That was the wrong one. It's yeah. You sometimes get clicking on the same ones, and that is becoming a clicker is not the best. Scams, that's technology. So I got some power multi-tool, I think. It's only a C class, but until I get something better, I actually install them. Oh, it's for the Starship. Well, the same goes with that. I just chop them on. I don't have a page beam. Why not? I want that one installed. So I need wiring looms. Got any of them? Yeah. Okay. That's one thing to look at the trait. I would say if you can get them cheap, then make sure you have a stock of wiring looms, because you, oh, I'm going to repair ship. They are not thank you for following. That's well, it's always good to have wiring looms. In stock, especially if you want to repair ships, so they're not cheap here. Thank you, I'm doing quite good. I enjoy playing No Man's Sky. It's actually one of my favorite games, and I like to share it with other people if I can, and I hope I actually can benefit with some help for those who are not so lucky and know what they are going into. So that's my purpose, and yeah. So how are you doing out there? Are you enjoying yourself? at least now the World Cup in football is over, and I find that was a very, very weird one. I don't know if any out there agrees with me. I'm not talking about who won it, because I actually think Argentina was one of the better of the teams in the tournament. Okay, so you come back to the game. That's I had some breaks as well, so there was a couple of updates which had changed some of the things, and I'm actually sitting in between, kind of thinking, what the heck, that was not how it used to be. Now, that's I will say I have not followed the football either as such, but it's been coming up everywhere all the time, and everyone has analyzed it from all corners of the world, so you kind of get it chucked at you all the time. But fair enough. So, why did you stop playing? Yeah. That's always a spanner in the works when you start getting kids, but on the other hand, it is sometimes good to have something you can just kind of go away from everything, so and do other stuff. I always enjoyed playing games in between. So, but welcome back to the game, and I'm happy you are following me, and you're always welcome. I will be playing 3 times a week. Well, I am playing 3 times a week on Twitch, and it's always Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday. I do come on some Saturdays as well, but that will be other things. What do I need here now? I've got a lot of nanites, so I'm going to kind of just stocking up for now. I don't have the resources to actually build everything, but it will come as well. That is absolutely right. And now you have to you have to focus on your kids, your family. That's something which is not given, and you are right. Games are there. Lucky. I'm still looking for a proper Earth-like planet to make a proper base on, and I haven't been very lucky with that yet, but I've been lucky finding 3 ships, so that's not bad, but it will come. And I've been very lucky finding stuff which gave me nanites, so that as well. I need some of these. Storage is always good to have. I am a hoarder, so I'm collecting as much as I can. There are no doubt about that. I always fill up with resources. Feel free. I'm not sure how you do that through Twitch. Yeah, I'm here for at least an hour more. So I'm not going anywhere. So this is the wrong ones. Here we are. I need all these eventually. Again, it is things which are very beneficial. I don't have any more of these. Okay, that's fine. Go and get our slot here. Actually, I'm continuing filling up here. So it can always be discussed whether you take one or the other route. I actually think some of the things you can get, you might not need it here and now, but eventually you will find out that was actually something I needed, and you're going to have it all in at one point anyway. So I'm actually just unlocking as much as possible, and then keep some nanites in to spare. Welcome back. You're getting food out of the oven. Are you sitting in America? Just curious. Scotland? Well, that's the same time zone as me. That's a little bit late for dinner, isn't it? Yeah, I'm living in the other end of Britain, down on the south coast. So, well, not the south coast, but south part. Close enough to London to be able to get there in relatively time, but far enough to not being in London. That's very true. And if you're hungry, then you need to cook some dinner. I am very aware of that, and I have never been not making food whenever I was hungry, and that has caused some very weird situations. I used to work night, and I came home at for something like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was hungry, and I actually cooked a curry dish, and I was standing cooking that when some craftsmen came to repair our boiler, I think it was, or something like that. And he was looking weirdly at me standing cooking dinner at 7 o'clock in the morning. But that's one of those funny things you encounter sometimes. So now the question if I'm going to kill myself. This system is not very good with the planets either. Boiling planet. That sounds warm. So, nothing here which is useful. And I know if I do another jump, then I will encounter a space battle. And how do I know that? Well, it's the one with the that is true. It's calculated by numbers, so when you do a certain amount of jumps, you get into a space battle, and that's the thing where you can get a free freighter, which is not a bad thing, but I'm not quite sure I'm actually geared for battle yet. Well, I have already done a number, so should be fine. So, come on. It wants me to go that way, so why not? Yeah, night ships is, well, it rips your life upside down, but sometimes it's more convenient to work at night. It's more peaceful very often. You don't work in a... Okay. No battle. I'm not really lucky with the planets I run into. There's a moon there. Was the one I already scanned. Oh well. There's something behind there. Actually, I always go to the space station first so I don't forget it. Always get the free slot for your suit. I keep saying free, it's not free, but it's way cheaper than buying for your ships and your multitude. Yeah, that's absolutely right. The drop pods, but I had the other day I played. I had two who actually failed, and that really annoyed me. And it's, I think it's a glitch in the game that it thinks you already been to it, and then you don't get anything out of it. And you can say the worst thing is that you spent some maps or some tokens for the maps to get it, and yeah, that's right, and they are relatively easy to come by. But it's annoying when it doesn't work out as you expect. I actually didn't pay attention to what he was saying, so but one thing is, talking about that, always look at the encrypted navigation data. So you get a lot for free, and that's where it's not. No, I could. I reopened it several times, and nothing happened. I even tried to come back later to see if anything else would happen, and I never got the slot for them, and but it's okay. It's not the worst which can happen. I know there is certain glitches in the game, and it's, I almost say it makes it a little bit more human. It makes things funnier. Have you ever encountered some of the animals which is assembled wrongly, and the legs are to each side, so it walks very weirdly. That's some of the things which sometimes can make me laugh out very loud, because you're seeing something and you're sitting thinking, what the is that? I mean, it's one of the things which actually makes me like playing the game. And you know, some games are absolutely flawless and perfect, and it can feel a little bit boring to sit and play them, because they are too nice, really. Well, now we talked about free slots. I just bought a couple, so I will go down and get some on this planet. Does he want to trade or big? They are very expensive. I give him oxygen because I can always farm for that. And I got romantic diaries. What's the value of that? 500,000 and a little bit. Ah, that's one of the chances you sometimes take in stuff with something weird. But romantic diaries, well, it's actually something you see in other games as well. I know in World of Warcraft there was something which offended certain people because it was erotic novels. You couldn't read them, it was just something which dropped from random mobs around, and someone complained about their young children exposed to erotic novels, but I mean, you just have to laugh about those things. The world are not that bad. And if their teenage boys want to see yeah, let me just land. Yeah, if I spin out of control. Yeah, let me just go over here. See, how do I get it? I mean, you don't want to put that public, actually. Not sure what the best way of doing it is, because there's no. Actually, you can try. Do you have the option to whisper someone? Then you can try to whisper me. My name is Valderon UK. So try if you can do that. Then I would be happy to add you and look at your base. I think that would be the best way of doing it. It's more. I don't think you want everything out in public because everyone can read the chat. That's just to protect you a little bit. Well, I'm a little bit more public, even though I'm well protected as well. But so, what am I doing here? I was looking at those buildings and this planet. Ah, okay, yeah. And if it's the same username you have, then you know everyone will want to say hi in game when they run into you anyway. So uh, I see that especially in some of the other games I played that there are people coming and saying hi, and I don't mind that either. I mean, it's. I prefer friendly gamers, to be honest. I hate toxicity because it is just games. We're doing it to have fun, to kill some time, not to uh, listen to someone's bad vibes. There's enough of people who think they are the absolute most important thing in the world, and all the games are made for them, which is absolutely rubbish. We have all bought our games and played them. So yeah, that's my attitude. I don't wanna blame other people for me making mistakes, because I do when I play. I'm just human like most of the people. There are sometimes I wonder whether people are actually fully human, but that's a whole other thing. Let's see if I can copy your code. I will add you after the stream though. I hope that's okay. And now I'm copying the whole thing. That's even making it better. Oh, you can't make this shit up sometimes. No, I mean, gaming is very important, and whoops, and it's very important to kind of remember that it's something everyone does to have fun and kill some time, and what makes you sit and say a lot of bad things to someone online in a game, calling them weird things, and actually make them sad. I mean, my whole family is gamers, and we play a lot of online games, and you see the best and the worst coming out. And I like that. I love finding beautiful green Earth-like planets with, well, which looks like something. Who are you? Which we know, and which we could only dream for in real life, to get a home at a lovely coast somewhere with nice weather, and everything is just perfect. In my main game I found a couple of planets where I have built bases on, and it's really amazing sometimes the planets which pops up. One of the best bases I have done was actually on a very hostile planet but I put it up because there was a lot of resources which I thought I needed them, but I didn't really. But I put up a small base, and I actually made it into a mountain, and that was kind of an experience. I don't have that yet, no. And that again, it amazed me you could actually do that, and it's only the fantasy which set limitations, because everything you can think of is what you can build up and create in. So you can make underground bases, underwater bases, you can build them up in the sky, and you can do all these things. And it's only your own fantasy that limits you. Oh dear. Why am I tempted to that? That was one of the more tricky ones. Yeah, you see, I don't play Minecraft, but I do admire people's fantasy, their enthusiasm for what they do, and I think it's absolutely marvelous to see, and I do envy them a little bit because I don't have that patience and skill to do it. However, in a game like this, suddenly you are actually sitting doing pretty much the same, and ending up with some brilliant things that is so different from what you normally would do in a game. I do appreciate games where you are sitting following quest lines or missions and stuff like that, but it's very little you can actually get creative, even though you think you have no creative skills, but everyone have. And you're absolutely right. I think it's brilliant, and it is one of the best things is you actually are able to use your brain and do something you don't do in your daily life. Get a little bit away from your office, your work, your trivial day-to-day, whatever you're doing. I think it's great. But I'm one of those people. I've been playing games for many years, and it's always been my escape from the grey days. I mean, I have had family and kids and everything as well. And it does work out. It have to. You bloody have to, because if we're stuck with all the same grey things day out and day in, it drives us nuts. So we took the drop pod and let's get a free slot. Oh, I use that a lot as well. I always have the attitude that if it's free, and if it's really free, it's not totally free, but it is free-ish, then I think take it. It's always been said in my family that there's two kinds of stupid people: those who offers and those who say no, thank you. I don't want to be like that, but it is. Hello. Nice testing. And welcome to, and thank you for following. It's nice to see people coming inside and chit-chatting with me and everyone else here. It's
Radiation protection falling.
oh dear. Yeah, that's not everything which is great, but as I'm running from scratch with this character, then I'm very aware that I have to build up to be able to do everything, because I know way too much about dying untidily. My first attempt playing, I actually died before I found my ship the first couple of times. And well, I was so stupid, I took a little bit too hard difficulty, and I learned from that. Then I turned the other way around and played it in sandbox, which was actually very boring, because you get everything, but it at least gave me some insight in how the game functions. I need to upgrade my scanner so I get more out of the scans. But it's all good and fun, and that's what it's all about, I find. So and feel free if you have any questions to any of the things I do or say, please feel free to ask. I will not pretend that I am the all-knowing God, because I'm not. But I'm very good at finding out if I don't know. And I'm very good at losing my plot sometimes. I always had it like when I'm playing, is seeing something, oh shiny, and then you go for it, and you forget all other things you're doing, and then you end up far away from where you actually were supposed to be. And it's like 3 hours later you are not even close to where you wanted to be. That's how my gaming life is. I traded a lot of oxygen, so I better get some more. must admit, sometimes I have parked my ship somewhere and I couldn't really find back to it. And then you find out when you try to call it, it can't come because you freaking forgot to fuel it. That's a mistake you only make a couple of times. That's when it's good to actually have other ships as well, because then you can always call one of them.
Radiation protection falling. Units received. Units received. Units received. Units received.
Didn't I talk about I needed some resources on this planet?
Technology recharge.
Always make sure you're healthy. So, talking about, we talked about navigation thingies earlier. This is a good way of getting them, so you can buy more maps for pods. And I've been quite lucky on this character with finding things that I have been struggling on my main character I've been playing, because I have not found much of the good stuff with that. It has been hard grind, most of it. Where here I run into bunker mode or whatever it's called, which gives a lot of nanites twice, and just harvested 1,000 of nanites, and I keep running into these. So it's weird with luck. But when you say you have walked so far to be back at your ship by now, makes me think of a very famous Scottish song. That you will walk 500 miles, or how much it is. You sometimes get a feeling in this game that that's exactly what you're doing. One of the first videos I ever watched about No Man's Sky, this guy was sitting explaining that the most important thing you do is always collecting these. And I took it very literally, so whenever I saw dihydrogen crystals, I found them. And I was running around with 4 or 5 slots in my exosuit filled with them, just in case. I didn't know what to use them for, but I just collected them. Well, I need some of that. That's a little bit far away. I'm too lazy to walk. Did I do stupid again? No, I didn't. I know I can refine this, but when I find it around and I know I need it, It's free to refine it, isn't it? Where did it go? That's another thing I'm an expert too. Actually, either land on top of it or 500 miles away from it. So it was there. Oops. Let's take some free. One thing which has amazed me with this game, when you come into systems where it has a blue, red, green sun, the colors of the planets change, and that really fucks with my brain. I'm sitting there looking at colors, after colors I'm used to see, because you actually don't go into specific when you're walking around or running around. And then when the color scheme is absolutely wrong, well, then your brain start making weird things with you. There we go. If I could ask Hello Game for one thing in this game, I would love a map of the planet I'm on, which actually shows where I have been and where I haven't been. Because that's one thing I have very big problems actually remembering and plotting out. Yeah. But as you are on a Earth-like planet, that means you are in a yellow star system, and there should be copper on all planets, if I'm not mistaken.
Radiation protection falling.
Just a warning, if you start hearing dog barking, it's mine. She's standing looking out the window, see if there's any dangerous animals or flying leaves or anything outside. And she will tell me. That's the pleasure of having pets. They don't take anything for granted, and they will tell you if they feel the need. Nothing there, nothing there. I have to remember these. Did I actually? I have been here. Or not? Am I losing it? Wouldn't be the first time. The gig. I have named them the Ferengis from Star Trek. because I think they would sell their elderly relatives if they got the chance. There's a lot of things you can see from other things in the game, and I actually love that because I take that as being kind of respectful to sci-fi in the greater scheme, and I love that. Yep. Yeah, that's that's quite a funny one. But yeah, it is a lot of funny things. So what else do we have here? Someone is selling something, but I have a feeling he doesn't have anything I can use. For some reason they seem to have pretty much the same, all of them. I don't want to spend on them. However, one thing I found out with these salespeople, no matter race, the components sometimes is very cheap. Oh, you don't have to. So, if you're into trade, when you come to space stations, find something which they all have and note down the prices, and then when you come to others, compare the price on that product, and that actually gives a very, very good picture. And you know, if you want to really do trade, then you know where to go down that route and get something which is buy cheap, sell expensive. That's how you trade. I did try to crash the market sometimes, and yeah, it gives you money and it's fun, but it gets tedious when you do it too much. And it is not that hard to make coins in No Man's Sky. It is possible. And one of the ways is, of course, by farming around. Question was this the one I already was at? If it was, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but that will happen over and over again. And I will repeat that from time to time. It was where I was earlier. Damn. Okay. So I should find some uranium because I actually used that to fuel my ship with. And you can question why I do that, but I calculated it's actually cheaper than making fuel cells. But certain things are more convenient to do one way, others are another way. So I said I want some uranium. I have plenty of copper here. Was that not what you needed? There. 600. I'm too close to the ship to mark it. I think I'm too lazy to walk. Oops. Yeah, I'm not going to fight right now. I think.
Warning. Threat detected. Hostile ships approaching.
Okay, I guess I am fighting.
Hostile ships defeated.
So where did my uranium go? That's not uranium. That's copper. Oh, nice. Nice. It's always lovely when it actually works out. Yeah, I have copper here. I don't really need it, but I do sometimes just take for if I need chromatic metal and stuff like that, and it's good to have it. I have 2 ships to repair, so I'm going to need a lot of chromatic metal, aren't I?
Radiation protection falling.
So, sometimes feel a little bit greedy when I take things which is not absolutely necessary, but when you know the game, you know you are going to need certain things over and over again, and that's just how it is. And if you don't take it, then you just have to go out and hunt for it later. Oh, animals. I like animals.
Units received.
I wonder where my uranium ended. Let's see if I can find that. And taking that, then I think I will return to my base and clean up and don't do that. It's just next to the base I was at earlier. It's typical. It's really typical. Yeah, but it does happen though. Especially if you are using places with
Radiation protection falling.
portals, because a lot of people are using the same portal coordinates, so you might run into the same other players in those areas. Where the am I turning blind here? I might be. Or the game is cheating me today. That's an animal. There's something weird going on, because I have had several places where it said there should be resources and they are not there. Don't follow me. I'm not taking any more animals home with me. Nah. Okay. I think I will do what I thought I would do. That is kind of going to be the last leg of today. And I'm doing all the boring stuff at my base with refining and looking at repairing the ships I have. Where is the space station? Is that gone as well now? Yeah, I'm not visiting that now. There. I think it's on the other side of this planet. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. So if I can get it there. No, no. There. Get there before I run out of fuel, or do we have to go out and push? We have to go out and push. That's embarrassing, running out of fuel.
Recharge.
But to be honest, it's me we're talking about. That would happen sometimes. It's a little bit funny because the first game which ever did the same to me as this game does was the original Elite many years ago, because it had some of the same things this one have, with space stations and stuff like that. And I remember how hard it was actually to land on the space station until you got the computer. No, Sentinels are very sensitive with certain things, and okay, the auto moderator in the chat says the SAG is sexual content. I would say it's not. That's quite funny. Maybe the Sentinels will come after you. Oh well. Well, I don't have enough money to look at the ships right now. And I already have 3 ships which need repair. So I think, oh, new archives decrypted. It's a little bit funny with bases, because I always tend, when I start a new game, a new character or whatever you want to, I normally would call it a new save. When you start that, I always end up building a shack more or less in the start area, and I can always return to that, but I never want it to be my permanent base. There is a reason, but it is a beautiful planet. However, it got blistering damp, so it means that there will be different types of weather which actually can harm you. So we're going to call all my ships that not that one. That one is the one I'm closest with. And the new one I found earlier today is not that one. That one. So what I've been doing so far, in the end of the stream, I normally refine and repair what I can, because as I have said a number of times, oh yeah, holes are good to protect you against both the environment and sentinels. They don't like going down. Just be careful with some of the bigger ones, the dog type and those exo thingies, because they sometimes fall down in the holes and can't get up, and then they might actually attack you. I found that out, so I actually had to close the hole I was in so they couldn't get further on, but you know how to use your terrain manipulator, I guess. So I still don't have platinum. I did have phosphorus, but on the other ship, ah, God. I sometimes feel like Forrest Gump. It's not. And I remember everything very good. It was not pure I needed, but I take that over anyway. That should be it for now. So now I have been doing a lot of trying to find. Ah, good. It's always good to survive. Now I have managed to find a lot of free ships by scanning around for them, because I actually find it a little bit better to spend repair time and whatever it costs to repair them than it costs to buy them from other people. That's my hole. I need to repair that hole. So this one I found earlier today, and it going to need a lot of repair, but I'm actually just going to do what I can from what I have on me. I must admit, I bought the Pugnium. I didn't go out and do Sentinels yet. I'm not geared up for that. I've got activated copper in my storage, I believe. So I know a lot of people say that repairing ships and grinding for the resources is tedious, and I agree. If that's what you feel, then don't do it. However, it's actually one of the parts I find relatively fun. It's actually pushing myself a little bit. Going out, finding what I need, and have that pleasure of, well, I fixed this ship. I wouldn't be able in real life to do anything close to it. I can not do things like that. So doing it in a game, it's a little bit of an achievement getting there. So now I will do some refining, just to warn you. Yeah, I fully agree on that. If I find ships which I don't want, I do exactly the same. Just fix the launch and the two engines to get it moving. But I'm of course talking about repairing the ones I actually want. That's of course the purpose. It's not like I repair all ships and then scrap them. That doesn't make sense, because the repair value and the value you get out of scrapping it doesn't stick together. It's economical, more expensive to repair it than it is just to scrap it then. Now if I find normally find C rated ships and later B and even A, they would just be repaired, taken to the nearest space station, and then yeah, that's I do the same. It's just send it off. But you're right. You can earn loads of money by scrapping ships, and as you always know, you find Artemis ship very early, and it's normally not worth anything. So just repair it, go and scrap it, and you have a foundation of coins from the beginning. That's not bad. Okay. I took all my copper and made two chromatic metal. That's because I know I should have more copper. I hope I'm right. I also have lots of uranium. Yeah, I have copper. So, and I have activated. So I didn't need any more of this. Don't do that. Phosphorus is not useful right now, but do I need more of that? I do not know. What I will do while I go and repair, I will set this to do that. In the meantime, so chop some of the chromatic metal into this. What other things I can do?
Prepared. Technology prepared.
I always find it quite pleasing as you get them away. But it's always the same thing I need. And I do try to actually farm them when I come around, but yeah. To make more different things. I actually have gold. But I mean, sitting on the stream and do that for 2 hours will be like pulling teeth out with a very, very, very bad, slow set of pliers or something like that. That is not really what I want to do. I think most people like to see more gameplay than actually see me fuck up more than anything else. Because that's where it's funny, isn't it? I got gold. Plenty of gold. Good. So this going, this going. I actually put that in for now. That I know I could make some of the things I need, but that's not important right now. So what was it which needed gold? There. I actually found some very, very good resources with gold, which oh, I keep forgetting the activated copper. If I have some, I have actually seen it today, so it's all about remembering what you need sometimes. And I really should make notes sometimes what I'm going to need, so maybe I should start doing that, so when I come across it I can just pick it up and yeah. So I think I will just clean up and then I think it's time, unfortunately, to end the stream for tonight. I will use the code and add you as a friend as we talked about when I go off stream. And otherwise, I will be back again Tuesday evening at 9 o'clock, where I'll continue from here. I didn't actually get a lot of the storyline, but I think we got around a lot of funny things. So I'll say thank you for all who watched, and I hope you will be back on Tuesday evening at 9 o'clock UK time, GMT. Then I will be sitting here and I will show you how to fuck up the game sometimes. I hope you had fun, and I had at least. So take care all of you, and see you next time. Bye for now.